You're watching SA Today with me, Unati Pakyashe. Let's continue here to this developing story. Some hawkers have packed their goods, preparing to leave Pan Africa in Alexandra, north of Johannesburg. This as scores of residents are calling for foreign nationals to leave the area under Operation Dudula. They say this has nothing to do with xenophobia, but rather an attempt to reclaim the economy of locals. Let's now cross to our reporter, Griselda Lewis, who has been monitoring the developments in Alexandra. Good afternoon to you, Griselda. Not only were you monitoring developments, but you've been speaking to both sides of this particular unrest there in Alexandra. I see now that there are police that are present. Earlier, I know that there was very little visibility from the SAPS. Talk to us about what the latest is there, Griselda.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Onati. I think let me just correct one thing. It is not Operation Dudula, but the Dudula Movement. SABC News had received a telephone call a bit earlier on. These are two separate organizations. So the ones that are marching here in Alexandra today is the Dudula Movement and not Operation Dudula. Several people have been injured, and yes, indeed, if we move towards this direction, come through here, Herbert Bemela, my colleague, you'll see here at this point the police presence much increased in comparison to what we saw a little bit earlier on today. The police presence in Alexandra has certainly increased over the past 2 hours or so. It seems police have managed to deploy more resources here. If you could look towards my right and also look towards my left there for a moment, you could see that police are on hand for any eventuality in the event that we continue to see scenes of violence that we saw a bit earlier on. Let me take you this way as well, Unati. What is quite interesting as well, you would recall that this was a standoff between South Africans as well as foreign nationals. Here you have it. Some of these shops belonging to foreign nationals had been closed a bit earlier on. They've now reopened, and police are standing to try and ensure that nothing happens to those shops. They are trying to ensure that the violence that was threatened a bit earlier on when the shops had been closed does not continue. You can see here, these are foreign nationals who were forced to close those shops a little bit earlier on. So police are quite on hand at this stage to try and ensure that nothing happens here. Many of these foreign nationals have been affected by what is going on here. Sir, if we can just speak to you a little bit earlier on, you were forced to close your shop. You've reopened again. Are you scared?
No, I am closing 5 times, not 1 time, 5 times. I open, I close, I open, I close. There's too much problem, this thing. Yeah, you see, if these people here are selling outside, you see, I'm doing well business. You see, these people are affecting our business. You see, if people, these people be outside, I be safe, no be robber, yeah, everything be okay. Yeah, these people.
Are you scared?
I scared. What can I do? There's nothing to do. You see, I can't fight for him. If I fight for him, then we also I get a problem. Then he come more, and then I get more problem. Then we am worried. I don't know what can I do. I got 26 years to I work this shop. Yeah. I don't know where I can go. You see, I got 5 kids going school. I don't know. Yeah. Going college. I don't know how can I pay for this all the stuff.
All right.
You see.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time. Just one of the shop owners who is expressing concern. Take a look, if you could ask my colleague Herbert Mamela. Police officers obviously been brought into this area to try and ensure that there is some safety here. Of course, they're not allowed to speak to us. There are communications teams that can speak to us. But at this stage, most of the shops that we've seen here, we move towards this direction. This one managing to operate just a little bit. Remember a bit earlier on, Unati, here there were many people that were asked to leave this shop a few hours ago and to come out after the manager had indicated that there's about 80% of South Africans that are working here. Remember, this was one of the shops that was destroyed during the July unrest, and they've just opened now and are still struggling to make ends meet. If we move towards this direction as well, this is one of the shops that continues to remain closed this afternoon. It's one of those that was targeted earlier on, a forceful closure. All those that remained open. Some hours ago, the PEP stores was opened here, but that has since been closed. Many of the residents here indicating that let me have a look. Here you go. Let me have a chat to this gentleman, sir. You're one of those. Is this your shop here at the back? You've just reopened again now.
After 8 months of pain and suffering at home. We just opened because our business was totally burnt out to the ashes. And we were just reopened a month ago. We got to pay our landlord rent. I can even show you the slip. I paid my landlord only half the rent for this month. I had to make arrangements now to pay the rest of the rent. And now this is happening. I want to know exactly where is our president, where is our ministers. Don't worry about Russia and the Ukraine. Worry about your own country. The people that elected you and put you all in office, Mr. President. You are not here. You wanted more about the Ukraine. Don't worry about the Ukraine. Worry about our own people here. They locked a 79-year-old woman in the shop. My mother. Come on, Mr. President. That's inhumane, Mr. President. I personally request that you come out here with your ministers and sort this issue out. At least then we can have a little bit of peace and get our livelihood up and running. Leave the Ukraine. Let them kill each other, do whatever they want. Worry about your own country, where the people in this country elected you and put you in office, Mr. President. I would really appreciate it if you and your ministers could come out here, have a lakota with the people, speak to the people, and get this thing resolved ASAP, because we have just started our livelihood again. And now this is starting again. I mean, you promised on national TV to the whole world that you're gonna help all the small businesses. I've applied 6 months ago. I still haven't got an answer till now. I lost over $500,000.
Are you scared, sir, for what's taking place? Your shop was one of those that was closed. I saw your
physically closed. The physically brought down. My mom was sitting on the chair there. If you can go in, because she doesn't want to be on live TV. They actually closed her into the shop and actually forced the guy to stop it. And he took out a shambak for me. He said to me, no, you got to close, you got to close. I said, hang on a second. I've got an elderly mother. This is her life. We've been in this business, in this premises for more than 20 years. For more than 20 years, we've been helping. I mean, I don't employ foreigners in my shop. I employ local.
Are you concerned that locals are also being targeted in this?
Exactly.
We've spoken to quite a number. There's a mama just right across your shop.
Yeah.
She's also South African. She was forced to pack up her things.
Exactly. The locals are also being attacked. And what
just take a look there. Just sorry, sir, 1 second. That guy also managing Unati to reopen after several hours now. There's quite a large police presence now. I could argue, certainly, Unati, that possibly from what the scenes they saw on television, they decided to send more police officers here, because when we arrived with our colleague Herbert Memela, there were only pockets full of police here until the situation got under control. I managed to interview about 5 people who were severely injured and taken to a hospital, and these are amongst the shops that were closed, starting to reopen again. Sir, please continue. You were saying?
What I'm saying is, early in the morning they attacked our vehicles. I had to drive out, a brick missed my car by inches. I had to take my car and rush out. I think I could have caused a major accident somewhere, but he managed to get my car out of the way, take a walk, come here to make sure my mom is safe. I left my mom alone in the shop, and I came back, everything was fine. They physically locked an elderly woman. That is totally inhumane. Inhumane to lock a 79-year-old woman in a shop. And then they want to hit me because I'm telling them, hang on a sec, my mom is an elderly woman. She cannot walk fast. Oh, you got to make it fast. You got to make it fast because we're going to break this. And the guy took out a shamba for me. And then a lady came by and she saw my mom there and she said, okay, let my elderly. And my mom sat outside there for almost 2 hours. That is inhumane. Mr. President, this is inhumane. I don't know. Please, I'm begging you. We South Africans elected your government. And we South Africans request that you come here to Alexandra and resolve this issue. We don't want you to worry about Russia. Leave Russia alone. Let them solve their own problem. The Americans, let them solve their own problem. Sort your country problems out first before you do anything else. Bring your ministers here. Come, let's sit down with the people, talk to the people, decide how we're going to resolve this issue. Because this has been going on for 2 solid weeks now. And this is totally unfair. This lady, she's a local South African. They took all her stuff and they threw it away. They actually threw it over the floor.
Siswam, awusitshela ukuthi kwenzeka ngiyakubona nokuthi u-emotional kakhulu sisi. Kwenze njani? Okay.
Too emotional.
Yeah, she's too emotional to speak at the stage. Some South Africans were indicating they've been severely affected. All right, sir, give us 1 second, please. Severely affected here. She very emotional, not wanting to be on television. Calls for the president of the country to intervene here. Certainly the scenes that we have seen here in Alexandra, resembling something that has not been known that there are in pockets of these incidents that have been taking place where foreign nationals have come under attack. It includes some South Africans now as well who've been affected by what's been happening here in Alexandra. Certainly the police presence here has increased. If you take a look from that area there, police officers are armed there as well, trying to make sure that we don't see the kinds of scenes that we saw a bit earlier on here today. Also, the shop that I showed you a bit earlier on, Unati, here again, police officers standing in front of that shop trying to ensure that these foreign nationals have decided to reopen again this afternoon do not come under attack. There were also calls a bit earlier on where there were concerns that this evening there might be violence that might erupt here. So it seems like police are going to have to be here well much into the evening. SABC News certainly will try to ensure that we bring you up to speed of what transpires here during the course of the evening. But round about 6 o'clock, you do have these shops closing, but there is concern at this stage. Police officers trying to ensure that the foreign nationals who are operating in this area are taken care of. They do not come under attack. They've been closed for several hours now. These are amongst the brave ones that have decided to reopen. But take a look here just next to me. This is the shops that still remain closed at this particular hour. Hawkers have been affected in this area. They've been unable to operate. We've spoken to some of them over the past couple of hours. So this Dudula movement essentially says that it wants all the foreign nationals operating in this area to move from here. So that's what we have at this particular stage.
Griselda, thank you so much for that. As you can see, that is Alexandra. In fact, Griselda has been out there at the Pan Africa in Alexandra, north of Johannesburg, for quite some time this afternoon. Quite concerning what is transpiring there. Of course, making a very a good correction there that this is under the Dudula Movement, this current protest that we are witnessing in Alex. And of course, you will know there is Operation Dudula. You'll recall several days ago, Operation Dudula gathering in Hillbrow when it turned violent, police firing rubber bullets to disperse that crowd of while the Operation Dudula members are saying that they will be back in a couple of weeks to march because their cause is very important. They are marching not only against foreign nationals, essentially occupying South African jobs, but also they say they are marching against crime. Now, what is happening in Alexandra currently, as Griselda said, watching that situation very closely with my other colleague, Herbert Mamela, is that, there is concern that around 6 p.m. this evening, violence could erupt in that area. But there is a heavy SAPS presence, as we've seen in that footage. Concerned citizens, not only foreign nationals, but also South African vendors who also were forced to close their doors, as some are, brave as they are, trying to, open and reopen their stores and get back to business. One gentleman who owns a store in that area calling on the South African government to not only watch this situation closely, but to do something about it as it will escalate. So closely watching those developments.